Hello, ARMY. Welcome to K Heart Channel. Taehyung's tears were more than emotion. What Jungkook did next shocked ARMY. No one expected that night to turn into one of the most silent, yet loudest moments in millions of hearts. It wasn't because of the music, nor the lights of the stage, but because of a single tear that couldn't be explained. Taehyung stood there, beneath the dim light, gazing at something unseen to everyone else. In his eyes, there was something deeper than sadness, something long buried, finally breaking free through a single tear sliding down his face. ARMYs watching the clip fell silent. N01. New WH wide. N01 understood what had just happened, but everyone felt it. This was not an ordinary tear. The look that couldn't be explained that night. Taehyung looked unusually calm, his soft smile, the one that usually soothed everyone, seemed strange, as if he was trying to hide something. The camera caught his face from the side, eyes glistening, lips moving faintly, as if he wanted to speak but couldn't. Not far away, Jungkook turned his head, just for a moment. Their eyes met for 2 seconds. But in those 2 seconds, time seemed to stop. Fans all over the world felt it instantly. Why did Jungkook look at him like that? Why does Taehyung look like he's holding something back? And then, without warning, Taehyung lowered his head, the tear that wasn't planned. The tear fell without drama and background music, no reason, no explanation. Yet when that drop touched his skin, the world seemed to stop breathing. To most people, it might have looked like nothing, but to ARMYs who had followed them for years, it felt like a fragment of a heartbreaking, because Taehyung's expression wasn't just sadness, it was a mix of longing, pain, and acceptance. Some fans wrote on their fan bases. His tears carried a message he couldn't say out loud. I don't know what's happening, but I can feel it. And in that fragile silence, Jungkook stepped forward. The small gesture that shook the world. He didn't say a word, and no one knew what was running through his mind. But every step Jungkook took toward Taehyung felt heavy, as if every inch between them carried unspoken memories. When he finally reached him, Jungkook did one simple thing. He placed a hand on Taehyung's shoulder. A brief touch, yet so real. And to ARMY, it wasn't just comfort. It was a silent confession that said, I know, I understand, I feel it too. The camera caught that exact moment. Their eyes met. Taehyung closed his eyes, not to hold back tears, but as if to whisper, thank you for still being here. The world fell silent. Within minutes, social media exploded. The hashtags #Team cried and #Jungkook looked back trended worldwide. That 20-second video was replayed thousands of times, each person interpreting it through their own emotions, some wrote. It felt like watching two souls speaking without words. This isn't about love or friendship, it's something deeper. But what made everyone freeze was one detail. After touching Taehyung's shoulder, Jungkook whispered something. It wasn't clear on camera, but many fans swore they saw his lips form the words, don't again. Don't again. 2 simple words that shattered millions of hearts after the tear. Since that night, Taehyung hasn't said much. He only posted one sentence on his personal platform. Some things can't be explained with words, but can be felt from the heart. No one knew if it was connected to that moment, but fans knew. Jungkook, on the other hand, wrote something that made everyone silent again. Sometimes, we cry not because we're sad, but because we finally have the courage to be honest. And as if the universe joined their emotions, it rained in many cities across Asia that night. Fans wrote, the sky is crying with them. The rain tonight feels like that tear from the video. The world reacts. The moment spread like wildfire. Media outlets, fan bases, even anonymous accounts reposted the video, not because they knew the context, but because the emotion was so raw, so real. Fan edits flooded timelines, slow-motion clips, soft piano music, heartbreaking captions. One viral edit read, he cried because he held something too heavy for words. And the other understood without needing to ask. Comments poured in, I can't stop crying. They don't have to explain anything, we already know. It's not about love or friendship. It's about two hearts healing each other silently. The night after, amid the storm of emotion, Jungkook posted a black and white photo, a silhouette under dim light, NO caption. But in the corner of the photo, fans noticed something, a leather bracelet, the same one Taehyung had worn in an interview years ago. The fandom went wild. Was it coincidence? Or something meant to be seen? Comments flooded in, theories spread. But beneath the noise, one truth echoed. Everyone could feel something real. IT wasn't gossip. IT wasn't drama. IT was honesty. Silence became their language. Days passed. No statements. No clarifications. But their silence spoke louder than any words. ARMY began writing digital letters, launching small projects under the title for Tae and Kook. They sent art, poems, and video tributes, filled not with curiosity, but compassion. One viral post said, "Sometimes two people don't need to explain anything to the world. They just need to know they're not alone." And maybe that's what this moment was truly about. Not secrets or rumors, but two souls finally letting something go through a tear, the courage to cry. That night became a symbol. Fans began talking about the courage to be honest, to cry, to feel. Taehyung showed us that crying isn't weakness. It's the heart cleansing itself. And Jungkook, with his quiet strength, showed what it means to understand without asking. They didn't need to explain anything, because every time their eyes met, everything was already said, hearts that will never be the same. Now, every time ARMY watches that video again, tears come easily. Not because they know the story behind it, but because they feel the sincerity in it. Maybe it was love, maybe it was longing, maybe it was pain unspoken, but one thing is certain, it was real. Since that night, the world hasn't seen them the same way, not as idols, but as two human beings who dared to show their hearts to the world. Epilogue. In silence, they spoke. Taehyung's tears were more than emotion. They were truth, finally set free. And what Jungkook did after, the quiet step forward, the gentle touch, the whispered "don't again," reminded the world that even in a place full of light, there are hearts still learning how to heal. ARMY will never forget that night, because sometimes the most beautiful moments aren't loud or planned. They are born in honest silence. And there, between tears and light, two names continued to echo softly, Taehyung and Jungkook. Two hearts that understand each other, without a single word. Taehyung's words seemed to echo endlessly in the quiet room, leaving a heavy silence that neither of them dared to break. Jungkook's hands trembled slightly, as if fighting between holding back and letting go. His chest rose and fell unevenly, the emotions he had kept inside for so long now spilling over like a storm he could no longer contain. "Young," Jungkook finally whispered, his voice trembling. "You don't have to hide when it hurts. You don't have to pretend everything's fine when it's not." Taehyung looked up slowly, his eyes glassy, still shimmering with unshed tears. "I'm not pretending," he said softly, his tone breaking halfway through. "I just didn't want to make anyone worry." But Jungkook shook his head, stepping closer. "You always carry everything alone. You think if you smile, no one will notice the pain. But I do. I always do." There was a deep ache in his voice, the kind of pain that only comes from loving someone too much for too long. Jungkook's words weren't loud, but they pierced straight into Taehyung's heart. The silence that followed was fragile, delicate, the kind that holds more meaning than any words could ever express. Then, suddenly, Jungkook reached out and pulled Taehyung into his arms. At first, Taehyung froze, startled, hesitant. But then his hand slowly came up, gripping Jungkook's shirt tightly as if he were afraid that letting go would make everything crumble again. "You don't have to say anything," Jungkook murmured against his shoulder. "Just let it out." And Taehyung did. His body shook, and the tears he had tried so hard to hide finally fell freely. He didn't hold back anymore. The sound of his quiet sobs filled the air, raw, trembling, real. Jungkook held him tighter, his own eyes glistening. It wasn't just comfort. It was connection. Something wordless, powerful, almost sacred.